been preying upon them. You have been taking advantage of them. You have been abusing them.
She looked directly into the camera with that practiced teenage smile, dancing in a public bathroom like every other carefree kid on TikTok. Except she wasn't a kid at all. At 23 years old, Alyssa Zinger had perfected something far more disturbing than any viral dance trend. She had weaponized innocence itself. What happened when parents finally discovered the truth would expose one of Florida's most calculated predator cases ever documented. And the moment a judge shattered her performance in open court will leave you speechless. Right now, before we go any further, you need to understand something crucial. This wasn't about a woman who made one terrible mistake. This was systematic. This was planned. This was a hunting ground disguised as a social media feed, and what investigators found on her devices will make your skin crawl. By day, Alyssa Zinger frosted cakes at a Tampa grocery store bakery, smiling at customers, living what appeared to be an ordinary existence that nobody would question twice. But when the sun went down, she became someone else entirely. Someone younger, someone dangerous, someone who studied her targets with the precision of a predator who had been perfecting her craft for months. She didn't just pretend to be 14, she became 14. Every text message, every emoji, every slang term, every reference to homework and friendship drama, it was all meticulously researched performance art designed for one purpose: access. She learned how teenagers typed, how they expressed frustration, how they flirted, how they argued with their parents, and she deployed this knowledge like a weapon across TikTok and Snapchat, platforms where messages vanish and parents struggle to monitor what's really happening. Her first victim met her in January 2023, scrolling through TikTok like millions of kids do every single day, completely unaware he was being sized up. The conversation moved to Snapchat within hours, because that's where the evidence disappears. That's where adults lose visibility. That's where Alyssa could operate without leaving traces that protective parents might discover. For months, this boy believed he was talking to someone his own age, someone who understood his world, someone he could trust. Police testimony would later reveal they met approximately 30 times, 30 separate occasions where an adult woman manipulated a child while his family had absolutely no idea what was unfolding. But here's the detail that should terrify every parent watching this. While she was grooming him, she was already hunting for her next victim. By May 2023, she had moved on to a second target. And this time, her deception went even deeper into his family's life. She didn't just fool the boy, she fooled his parents too. She showed up at family gatherings, she attended social events, she sat at their dinner table, and they welcomed her as their son's friend, never suspecting that the teenage girl laughing in their living room was actually a 23-year-old woman documenting illegal encounters with their child. The relationship lasted from May through October 2023, 6 months of calculated manipulation cloaked behind the facade of teenage friendship, 6 months where she was creating prohibited material, building a digital collection that investigators would later describe as deeply disturbing. Think about that timeline for a moment. October 2023, because that's when her carefully constructed world started crumbling. And the reason why will make your blood boil. When this second victim tried to end their relationship, Alyssa's mask slipped, revealing the monster underneath. The power she had wielded for months was slipping away, and she decided to destroy him. Remember that prohibited material she had been collecting? This is where it becomes a weapon. She showed up at his house, pretending she needed to charge her phone. An excuse that sounds innocent enough until you understand what happened next. While he was in another room, she went through his personal device and found something she knew would devastate him. Intimate content involving another victim. Without hesitation, without remorse, she distributed it through Snapchat to multiple classmates, turning someone's most private moment into public humiliation that would ripple through an entire school. But Alyssa made one critical miscalculation. If cases like this fascinate you, subscribe now because I publish new cases every week. The female victim in that video didn't suffer in silence like Alyssa expected. She went straight to the police. October 2023, a teenage girl walks into Tampa police station and reports that someone named Alyssa Zinger is distributing illegal material featuring her, and that single act of courage would unravel everything. Detective Amanda Baranowski caught the case and immediately knew something was wrong. she searched every database for a 14-year-old Alyssa Zinger enrolled in local schools. Nothing. No enrollment records, no academic history, nothing that verified the existence of this supposed homeschooled teenager everyone kept describing. But there was a 22-year-old Alyssa Zinger in the system, and suddenly the pieces started falling into devastating place. What Detective Baranowski discovered next would expose something far worse than a single predator. It revealed a systematic pattern of criminal deception operating across an entire network of young victims. Alyssa hadn't just targeted random strangers online. She had strategically worked through interconnected groups of teenagers who knew each other, using relationships with some victims to gain access to others, moving through their social circles like a virus they couldn't detect. While maintaining illegal relationships with multiple victims simultaneously, she was already searching for the next target, always hunting, always calculating, always one step ahead of the children she was manipulating. Some of these young people had no idea they were all victims of the same predator until police interviews began connecting the dots. When Detective Baranowski interviewed the first victim who came forward, his testimony painted a picture that went beyond deception into psychological warfare. He described how Alyssa would become aggressive when upset, how she threatened him when he tried establishing boundaries, how she controlled his relationships with others through intimidation. He told police she had threatened to have him jumped by high schoolers when he attempted to break up with her, and even in her threats, she maintained the fiction that she was a teenager with teenage connections who could make his life hell. The psychological profile emerging from these interviews was absolutely chilling. Here was an adult woman who had completely immersed herself in middle school social dynamics, who understood their fears and insecurities with surgical precision, who knew exactly what to say to convince parents she was just another kid hanging out with their children. But investigators uncovered something else that revealed just how long Alyssa had been perfecting this deception. And the body camera footage from this incident will show you exactly how skilled she had become at maintaining her lies under direct pressure. July 2023. Months before the case broke open, Alyssa and one of her victims were detained for shoplifting at a Nordstrom store. And what happened next should have been a massive red flag that everyone missed.
This girlfriend not your daughter? Okay. Have you contacted your parents? Okay. Well, I gotta try to contact them. Because how old are you? 14.
The body camera footage shows a young woman sitting in a holding area beside what appears to be a teenage boy. And when the officer asks about contacting her parents, watch how she plays this role without missing a single beat. She's nervous but not panicked, convincing enough that the officer believes her completely, behaving exactly like a teenager caught shoplifting would behave. Then comes the moment that reveals her true preparation level.
You have a sister named Alyssa?
Yeah, a half-sister.
A half-sister?
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't have the same middle name, I'm assuming?
I don't have anyone else there. My dad, my parents went ahead.
So I'm gonna document that you're going home with them.
When the officer runs her name and finds a 22-year-old Alyssa Zinger in the system, he questions the discrepancy, and without hesitation, she provides an explanation that's both believable and impossible to immediately verify. She doesn't panic, she doesn't stumble over her words. She provides just enough detail to sound convincing, but not so much that it raises suspicion. This wasn't improvisation. This was a rehearsed response she had practiced for exactly this scenario. The officer buys it completely and documents that she's going home with the boy and his father, and they're released without further investigation.
All right, so Alyssa, you're gonna go home with. Do you have any questions? No? We're not gonna do this again? Sure? Dad told me you make money, and you could have spent $100. Right? All right, man, this is one shot. You get one shot to do this program. After this, there's no more. So let's just make smart choices, okay? All right, sir. Take care.
But the most disturbing part of this footage isn't what she says. It's how comfortable she appears while lying directly to police officers and adults who should have protected these children. She's completely at ease pretending to be a teenager in front of authority figures because this wasn't her first time doing this. It was just the first time anyone bothered to dig deeper. Remember this detail about her comfort level, because it becomes absolutely crucial when you see how she behaves during later police encounters after she's been exposed. When Tampa police executed their first search warrant at the Zinger family home in November 2023, the body camera footage captured something shocking.
The detective said nobody can go in the house.
Okay.
So
That's weird because I talked to my lawyer and he says, you guys aren't under arrest. You guys aren't.
there's a search warrant for that. She told me she got a search warrant and nobody's allowed in the house.
For the phone or for my home?
Nobody's allowed in the house.
Who is in the house?
A family in crisis, but not in the way you'd expect from parents discovering their daughter committed horrific crimes. From the very first moments, it's clear this family has a completely different understanding of what's happening than the police do. They're not acting like devastated parents confronting terrible truth. They're acting like people managing a legal problem they've already discussed and strategized around.
We're not in the chase. We're not running, so.
But that's where we're at. I know it sucks.
This situation sucks. Me not going in my home right now, that's
I
the
know
least of my worries. I got a beautiful young daughter that's in a, this shouldn't be happening. She's got a lot of problems and mental issues and stuff, and it just sucks that, I don't know if you have kids, but.
Yeah, we have 2 kids. I have 2 kids, yeah.
Watch what her father does immediately. He starts establishing the narrative that will become her entire defense strategy later. She has developmental problems. She has emotional issues from childhood bullying. This shouldn't be happening to her. She's the real victim here.
I'm sorry to hear that, by the way.
Well, I mean, she got messed up with the wrong. Even though he's a lot younger, he is, put it this way, my daughter, my wife works for the federal government, 38 years, never been in trouble in her life, not a single thing. My daughter, the same thing. Me, stupid little shit when I was a kid. But we're good, honest people, hardworking people, and she just she's never been in trouble in her life, even though he's young. That's why we're in this situation. She never been in trouble in her life until she was 30 years old. And this, insane.
He's painting his adult daughter as an innocent victim rather than acknowledging the devastating criminal charges she's facing. The complete inversion of reality here is breathtaking. But what's even more disturbing is how rehearsed this sounds. This isn't a parent struggling to process shocking revelations about his child. This is someone delivering prepared talking points designed to create reasonable doubt. When detectives enter to search for her phone, the interaction becomes even more revealing about this family's coordinated response. The phone they find appears to be dead, and there's confusion about whether it can be charged and accessed. But listen carefully to how her father handles this moment.
When they came in to look for that phone, there was an iPad and a phone on the table. I looked at it, and she goes, "Is that the phone?" I said, "I do believe so." I say, "This is her phone here." Ha ha ha. No. I handed her the phone and said, "I do believe it." And I even said, if you watch the body cam, I said, "What model is this? I'm not sure." I got like a freaking 8.
He's being extraordinarily careful to establish that he's not entirely certain about the phone, that he's cooperating but not taking full responsibility for providing the correct device. This isn't someone trying to help an investigation. This is someone protecting himself from potential obstruction charges while appearing helpful.
And in fact, tell you this, if someone's trying to hide something, the phone was dead. I said, "You want to take your phone and leave?" Which I could have said if I was not trying to work with you people. But what did I say? I bet you watched the cam. I said, "Ma'am, there's a charger right there. Go ahead and charge it."
But then he says something that reveals the true mindset driving this cooperation. He tells officers he could have been obstructive if he wanted to, but chose not to be, as if he deserves credit for doing the bare minimum legal requirement. The investigation would later expose that this phone wasn't Alyssa's device at all. It was her mother's old phone that hadn't been used for calls since 2021 and never had social media apps installed on it. When confronted about this discrepancy during subsequent searches, the family claimed Alyssa's real phone had been lost. But the body camera footage from this first search suggests the phone switch wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate obstruction designed to destroy evidence while maintaining plausible deniability. During this same search, her father becomes emotional and says something that shows how completely they've reframed this situation in their distorted reality.
You can say one good thing that's come out of this. We got our family back. You know, we finally got our daughter back where she lays with us and watches TV. She hangs up with us now, but she won't have a phone ever again.
He describes the arrest as bringing positive changes to their family, as if his daughter being caught systematically exploiting children was actually a good thing that helped them grow closer together. They're not seeing Alyssa as someone who committed calculated predatory crimes against vulnerable victims. They're seeing her as someone who got in trouble and needs their protection from consequences. But the most disturbing part of this entire footage isn't what her parents say. It's what Alyssa doesn't say. Throughout this interaction, she remains largely silent, letting her parents make excuses, provide explanations, manage the narrative, completely comfortable allowing others to handle the consequences of her actions. When police returned in January 2024 to photograph her bedroom, the family dynamics became even clearer, and months into a serious criminal investigation, nothing had fundamentally changed in how they viewed this situation.
Our crime scene pitch, whenever she gets here, we're gonna go through the house, and we'll take pictures and document and stuff like that. And she'll also get a copy of, or she'll be, she'll get a copy of the search warrant to take pictures and document of too, which I'll go ahead and just kind of review this with you now, okay?
Are they gonna post these pictures now?
They don't post your pictures. This is for their investigation.
Okay, well,
There's nothing to be anybody's
that's my
business.
stuff, yeah.
That's nobody's business.
Even facing devastating charges, Alyssa's primary concern during this search was still about her privacy and reputation.
They just got to do their job. They got to take pictures of what they need to do. And I think you guys should leave.
I can't.
Well, I mean,
They've surrounded the whole car. Like, I literally can't even.
I don't think they meant it like that.
Wow, there's 5 cars. Yeah, how do I get out?
Not the victims she destroyed, not the family she deceived, not the trauma she inflicted on children who trusted her. There's no indication of remorse, no sign she understands the gravity of what she's done.
I feel like I'm a murderer.
They got to protect. They don't know who is here. They got to protect themselves. This is a crazy world. People are mental. They got issues. There's men probably out there that would do something stupid. You know what I mean? They got to protect themselves. You know what I mean?
Just complaints about being treated unfairly. At one point, when police are working in another room, you can hear Alyssa and her mother discussing the situation.
Did they hear a collapse? They all
What, in her bedroom they do that? They
They're
do
all
that?
broken, and that's heavy.
I think their main focus is her.
Gonna collapse.
Yeah, they hear about my room, not that.
That's what they're worried about. Hey, they're doing their job. A lot of crazy people out there. So, and a lot of people don't like police. You know? But that's not us. You know, like I said, we back you guys 100%. That's for sure. We have friends. And
Yeah, you're friends with a lot of police, but
I have a lot of friends that are police and we firefighters.
And her father tries establishing that they're good people who support law enforcement, as if their social standing should somehow protect them from consequences. When Alyssa finally appeared in court for her bond hearing in April 2024, the contrast between her behavior in body camera footage and her courtroom demeanor was striking. Judge Laura Ward presided over the hearing.
Every time something happens that the state puts on that maybe you disagree with, you shake your head no. You don't seem to understand that the problem is not who recorded the video. The problem is you are in multiple videos with young boys. You are an adult. You are the problem here. Your actions on these boys are illegal, and it's not okay. Whether they took the video or you took the video, you are the only adult.
And after countless hours of manipulation and deception, she stated the simple, devastating truth that shattered every defense strategy. Alyssa Zinger was an adult who knowingly deceived children, and everything else was just noise. Prosecutors presented evidence that her parents had deliberately provided the wrong phone to obstruct the investigation.
What I can't understand is when they are trying to help you to the extent that it interferes with a criminal investigation and to the extent that it helps you evade accountability and responsibility.
And Judge Ward addressed this directly, showing body camera footage of her father presenting the device as belonging to Alyssa without mentioning it might be wrong. The implications were clear. This wasn't just about one woman's crimes. This was about a family system that enabled and protected a predator, even after exposure. The defense strategy followed a predictable pattern: blame everyone except Alyssa, claim developmental delays and emotional issues from childhood bullying, point to an old IEP as evidence she couldn't understand right from wrong. But prosecutors had a devastating response. They pointed out that her behavior showed sophisticated planning and deception that completely contradicted diminished capacity claims. She maintained elaborate lies across multiple relationships for months, navigated complex social media platforms, understood exactly how to manipulate emotions, and when caught shoplifting, immediately created a believable lie about having a half-sister with the same name that fooled police officers.
You've been preying upon them. You have been taking advantage of them. You have been abusing them.
Judge Ward denied bond, stating Alyssa posed an ongoing threat to the community, effectively ending any pretense this case was anything other than an adult systematically exploiting children through calculated criminal deception. Subscribe now and let me know what aspect of Alyssa's case disturbed you most: the systematic targeting of interconnected victims, the family's coordinated obstruction, or her complete lack of remorse even when finally exposed in court.